that's snowfall. Wowee. Coming down in droves now. Speaking of droves, I got droves of these things. These white box systems from the mid to late 2000s, maybe early 2000s. I don't know when this one was put together. There's a certain faction of the crowd that's probably gonna get upset at me in the comments for calling this thing worthless junk, but let's face it, it's a Pentium 4, and it's been what, like 15 years since the Pentium 4 was an ongoing concern? Computers move in minutes, so these things have been completely left in the dust. Even the lowliest Core 2 silicon can run rings around Pentium 4s, and that's to say nothing of the unbelievable power usage and heat output of these things, but there's just something about the simplicity of the era that draws me to these, and besides that, this is definitely a fairly decent looking case. Probably a step above those stupid process things that I've got in droves. Do I have any still in here? No, I think I've taken them all away at this point. But anyway, this was put together by a local computer company by the name of Laurier Computers. When, I don't know, because I pulled the info sticker off of this. Well, it wasn't really a sticker, it was a P-Touch label. So, it's pretty old. Probably from like 2005, 2006 would be my guess. So, let's see. We take a look at the back of the machine. Another power supply. It looks like a cheap thing. It's got USB, though. It's an interesting place for the USB ports. In fact, you can tell that that would be for an Ethernet port on some models. Serial parallel USB, VGA, more USB, there's Ethernet, and there's audio. It's probably had some expansion cards in it at some point. There's a second serial port down there, more USB, and a game port. And there's this protrusion sticking out, because this would have been one of those systems from back in the day when they were booby-trapping these things with security systems. Can't find my screwdriver. I thought it was over here. Huh. I might have just missed it, but some guy, I don't know if they were upset because they were in the wrong place or what, but just aggressively came around and turned around in their driveway. So, whatever. Anyway, seems I always miss the good stuff. Camera's off and I'm trying to pull a cover off of something. Well, interesting things happen outside. Anyway, so this thing. Okay, let's take a look. So here's our booby trap device, which looks like it's not even attached to the system, so yeah, that could be pulled out. There's a lot of excess cable in here with it. This power supply, what is this? Ugh. LNC technology. 350 watt? Yeah, 350 microwatts perhaps. Probably roughly ATX. No. Might not be. A lot of these cheaper, crappier power supplies from the time period were actually set up as baby AT supplies that were roughly converted, so they still had the hole in the back for the front panel power connection. Anyway, yeah, game port's hooked up. What motherboard is this? P4B 533-VMs. It's an Asus board. Doesn't surprise me very much. It's got some RAM. Is it even DDR? There's a PC133 junk. I can't really tell. Sure, if I turn the video light on, the camera will get upset with me. I still can't really tell. That might be DDR. So it might at least be that nice. But it's not really that nice, is it? So I got the hard drive installed in it. That might be a newer drive than the original. But then again, it might be the original. Again, I can't really tell what it is. Change the battery pack. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. You're going to work for the entire duration of this. 80 gigs. Huh. I will be damned. It's not bad, eh? Not bad at all. I don't think this works. I think there was a power problem. If I remember right, it might not have even been a power problem with the power supply. It might have been the motherboard that had issues, because I think, if I remember right, there are balloon capacitors in this board. Yeah, there's one of them there in the voltage regulator. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are major issues here with this. Pentium 4 processor, 2.66 gigahertz. Socket 478. Package date, holy crap, it's older than I thought. September 26, 2002. Ouch. So yeah, it's been more than 20 years since this thing rolled off the assembly line. So please forgive me a little bit for calling it worthless trash, because that's basically what it is. Does this fan even work? The fan still works. That's impressive. So, well, I'll go get a different camera, because this one obviously is going to need to take some time to charge. And maybe I'll pull this booby trap out, and then we can go ahead and see what we can do with this. Okay, I've got a different camera now that actually works. I've also hooked up the computer. Well, I've got a light, and I have standby power, but yeah, that does absolutely nothing. So, I don't know. Is the power switch not hooked up? I can't tell. No, it's not hooked up. Huh. Alright, well, let me see if I can get that hooked up. Okay, I think I have that on the right 2 pins. Maybe I don't, because it's still not doing anything. So that's intriguing. I wonder what's up. If there is an actual problem, or what. Let's take a screwdriver and see if we can do this. Yeah, it's not responding at all. So, I think it's dead, man. That's short-lived. Doesn't seem to do anything at all. Don't know why. Like, it is just completely dead. One thing I didn't do, I did not try pulling the battery. It's possible that it's stuck for some reason. Though I don't really know why it would be. Let's see if it does anything now. No, because it should power on almost immediately. So, and the fact that it's not really kind of tells you all you need to know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all this junk out of here. So motherboard, this thing here, and I think what I'm going to do with this is I was going to put together some kind of a sleeper build, which is not usually my style. I usually like to keep things period appropriate, but I'm thinking I might actually put like some kind of beefier system in here. I was thinking about one of the newer i7 boards, but most of those don't have IDE, and I would like to make use of that IDE optical drive that's up there because it's beige and it would fit my aesthetic. Obviously, not going to have much use for a floppy drive in a modern system, but somewhere around here I've actually got a set of front panel connections that are beige, and I was thinking about putting that in there, and I probably will, even though those are... They use the single pin connectors that I hate, but I think I could probably work through it. But I've been thinking about what to use, and I think I've got something sitting out here right now that would actually fit in quite nicely. And that's this. Very clean looking. I don't know why or how it's so clean, but this board, just a random H55 S2H motherboard. got 6 SATA ports and the requisite IDE connection. So, not bad. I think it's just got an i3 530 on it. And this random set of 2 gigs of RAM. I'll pull that out and probably leave 4 gigs, but I've got a nice set of G-Skill memory that I think I'm going to go ahead and throw on this. And then I got an SSD sitting out that I can probably go ahead and install. I might even be able to install in this case without making use of or requiring use of one of those really annoying adapter brackets. I think I could even put it right there. But I'll have to take a look. Kind of intriguing that it's actually got that. But I gotta pull all this junk out of here. That power supply is garbage. And the motherboard is obviously also garbage, so look at this piece of crap. This came out of another system. I just walked over here and happened to notice the label's falling off. Huh. What junk. Okay, we got the case pretty much stripped clean of all the junk. The old board's out. Well, it was in. I took it out because I had to take it out in order to get the other side cover off. Because, of course, like every other manufacturer of the time period, they put extra screws on the other side of these optical drives, or the optical drive and the floppy drive and the hard drive. I'll never understand why people do that. All it does is irritate the next technician who has to go work on the computer. So, out those came, and they're not going back. Anyway, you're probably looking at this right now and going, well, gee, you know, that IDE optical drive is one thing, but the floppy drive? You're leaving that in there? What, you gonna just not hook it up? I will hook it up. Watch this. I didn't even realize this, but this motherboard that I'm gonna put in here, not only does it have the IDE, it's got a floppy port on the bottom there. So, not bad, I guess. Not bad at all. And the CD audio input. So, like I said, this is a mix of both worlds. Will certainly make my sleeper build that much better. Of course, it's probably not that much of a sleeper build because it's only an i3 530. That's a pretty outmoded design these days too, but not quite as outmoded as a Pentium 4, and it's definitely going into a system that's much older than what this would be. This is probably like 2010 or thereabouts. So the computer would have already been 8 years old. Skipping ahead here, you can see I've got everything plugged in that needs to be plugged in so far. I'm still considering a video card. I'm not sure if I'll use one or not because I'm planning on putting Linux on this. We've run into a snag that I was not expecting. This fan, you can see here's the cable for it. The fan header on the board is up there, so this cable is not going to reach. Oh, what a pain. Hello, darkness, my old friend. Anyway, so I'm going to take that out and switch these two fans around. I assume they're the same size. I guess I'll find out here in a second whether that's actually true or not. But everything else is plugged in except for the power supply, so that's my next task. I'll get that installed, then I'll change these fans. And then we can finally give this thing a grand run-up. You can see I'm using a slightly different board than what I was planning on, because this one actually has a nice little deep cool heatsink on it, which I trust far more than I trust that Intel one, even though that Intel one is very clean. Well, it's still one of those Intel push-pin coolers, so I don't know what kind of state the thermal compound is underneath it. Let's see if it'll do it again on video here. Yeah, I don't know if it's that light bulb getting ready to burn out or the power getting ready to do something interesting, but that light is flickering rather ominously. Anyway, I started to plug in the connectors. It's kind of turning into a giant Medusa in here, but well, it is what it is. I just have to plug in the power for the SATA. And then I should be able to set this thing down, power it up, and see if it works. Okay, we should be ready to power it on. See what it does. I anticipate it blowing up in my face, but let's see what happens. Ooh. That sounds great, doesn't it? It probably will blow up in my face. Yeah, that sounds like that's about to smoke. So I'm gonna stand back. Stand way back. Doesn't look like it's working. So, well, we've got some work to do. I don't know why it's not posting. That seems kind of odd to me. Okay, well, it stopped sounding like it's gonna blow up now. And I've gone ahead and set the BIOS. This monitor is completely screwed up. I still haven't replaced it. I really need to. It should turn off. Any luck, it will actually function when it comes back on. Sometimes these boards don't. Yeah, there it goes. Seems to work. AHCI. See what's on that hard drive. I think it's got Windows 10 on it. Yeah. You can also see if our LEDs are hooked up correctly, which it looks like they are. So that's good. Yeah, that sounds like it's about to blow up. So I'm going to kill this Windows experiment because I'm not going to use Windows on this, and we'll go ahead and we'll install Linux Mint because that's what this is going to run. Could probably choose to run something else, but I think Linux Mint's a good start. And we'll see where we go from there. I could do something kinky like run Windows XP on this. That'd be kind of funny, don't you think? Or like Windows 2000 or something. It's got an SSD in it though, so maybe not. Okay, I got the cover on, so hopefully that way if it does decide it's going to explode, it won't do it in my face. USB. Oh, come on, you stupid, useless monitor. What's this? I can't actually see what it is, so that's good. Very nice. Fine, USB hard drive. Oh, this is... oh crap, I don't want to install that. That's, Raspbian. So, I don't know. Might choose a different Linux. Okay, it's now the next day, and we are now going to install an OS on this. We'll try this Zorin OS thing, because I've never actually used this on a physical piece of hardware before. Certainly not in recent times. I think the last version I used was like Zorin OS 6 or something. So we'll see how this works. The computer hasn't been running all night, and I did turn it off because it's pretty cold out here, and running in the cold is not necessarily nice to do to this. So this contains an unclean file system. Oh no. Whatever are we going to do about that? Not that it matters, because it's going to get erased anyway. So we'll let it boot. We'll see where we go from there. Okay. Oh, I have no mouse because there's only one PS2 port. I don't know why I had thought otherwise. Oh, would you look at this? It's all tangled up with everything else. Oh, nothing is ever easy. Right. Install. I got the USB mouse plugged in. English US, that's fine. It's a pretty bog standard Linux install, really. Download updates when installing. Don't participate in the census. Install third party. It does not look like we have, or it sees my wireless card, which is good. That's hit or miss usually. I know Linux Mint saw it, but you know, it kind of depends. It probably has to install the Wi-Fi hardware updates in order for that to work. So, this is the part that usually takes the longest. I don't know if it's actually... Yep, it's definitely reading the disk. That SSD, I don't know if it's in good health or not. That... What was that? Kingston A400 or something? I've had a lot of problems with those at work, just randomly dropping off of the SATA bus, or becoming so slow that they're unusable. I think that was the issue. The earlier ones, the Kingston HyperX ones, those ones generally have problems dropping off the SATA bus, because those are based on Sandfarce controllers that go bad. Anyway, looks like this might take a little bit, so I'll come back when it's done. Okay, erase disk. I don't need advanced features. Install now. Yes, erase the whole thing. I find it amusing that these newer versions of Linux don't create swap partitions. Now I gotta enter these details. Alright, so here's the install step. It's copying files. So, we'll let that do its thing. Come back when it's done. I find it funny, it thinks it's 6 o'clock in the morning. And it thinks it's September 8th. No, that's not quite true. Just for the sake of showing it off here, I opened up the booby trap device very carefully. You can see inside and how it's hooked up. Not really much to see. It's just a standard telephone connection, really. I'm surprised that it looks like all the lines are used, but it looks like they might just be connected together. And there's only one device, so it's plugged in that way. Actually, that's not true. There are two of them, but I think they're connected together, which is kind of interesting. Usually, when you find these things in these computers, they were connected separately. But that's junk. Anyway, back to the computer. Installation is complete. Restart now. Don't really have any other options anyway. Failed to unmount. It just straight up rebooted. Pull that USB out so it doesn't try to boot to it. Loading operating system. We'll have to see if it'll actually load the wireless driver, or if it'll just completely lock up, because it hasn't done anything yet. It hasn't locked up. Is it doing anything? Maybe. Hard to tell. Huh. Well, that's a good first impression. You know, I hit Control-Alt-Delete and then it started doing something, which I think is kind of funny. There we go. Welcome to Zorin OS. I don't need to start a tour. I don't think it sees my network hardware. I'm also not really sure why it thinks it's September 8th. That's kind of odd. Let's see. Network. All we have is wired. It does not see the wireless. Unless it's just not working because the USB port isn't really functioning. I'm not really all that surprised that it's not working. Things like that's rarely ever do. So, as long as the computer functions, I think that's really all that I need to deal with. See if it's got any good desktop backgrounds. Not really. So I'll just do that. And maybe I'll go ahead and I'll set the date and time. Because again, I don't know why automatic requires internet access. Well, it's obviously not working. It's not 6 o'clock. I don't actually know what time it is, to be honest with you. Let's see here. Huh, 12:05. Well, that's aggressive. 2022, January. Today is January 8th. As far as I know, right? Yeah, January 8th. Eastern Standard Time. Time format. I hate 24-hour time. So, we'll go with that. I3 530. And we are good to go. So I think I'm going to close the video at that point. So there's your sleeper build in this old Pentium 4 case. I left the Pentium 4 sticker on it. I'm just going to leave that alone. My original plan for this case that I had forgotten about until I happened to glance at it over in the corner of my eye was actually to put that ECS motherboard in it, but yeah, I could put that ECS board in another case. It's not like I don't have 1,000 of them laying around. I can go grab that process one that had that DFI board in it, because the DFI board doesn't work. I just throw it into that, really. Or any of the other cases that happen to be laying around. But as far as this one's concerned, I think that we can throw it in the books. So, thank you for watching, and if you have any comments, please feel free to leave them down below.